So hi and welcome to video 1 of a series of 4 videos which look at ways in which standard access switches like the Bluetooth access switch, which is available from Ableton. So we're going to look at ways in which switches such as these can be used with Ableton Live to create music, really. So if you're a switch user or somebody who helps to provide access to music, you might find this guide particularly useful. So many of you will know that when you connect an access switch to a computer, it will be recognised as a standard QWERTY keyboard. And when you press a switch, that's going to send a keystroke to your computer. Now, a really useful feature within Ableton Live is that you can actually map these keystrokes to pretty much any function, really, I suppose, within Ableton. So let's take a look at how that might work. For our first example, we're going to use a switch to generate a random melody. Let's begin by creating a MIDI clip. And within that clip, I'm going to insert the note middle C, which is half a bar in duration. We need to configure the behavior of this clip when it plays back. Let's switch off loop. And then also we want to switch off the quantization. The next step is to essentially map the switch to trigger this clip. So let's do that by activating key map mode, this is done just by clicking on the key button in the top right hand corner. You'll see the UI change. I'll click on the function that we want to control, and then I'm going to activate the switch. The mapping has been added to our key mappings list, so we can see key number 1 has been assigned to slot 1 in our grand piano track. Great, I'm going to exit key map mode. When I activate the switch, it's going to play this clip. Let's try that. Currently, the note being triggered by the switch is of a fixed length. It would be great if the switch user could determine the length of the note depending on how long the switch is held. So the way in which we would achieve that is, first we need to increase the length of the note that we have programmed in our MIDI clip. So I've just increased it to the length of the bar, and then I'm going to use this function play at half tempo within Live. I click that a few times, and then I'll just increase the overall length of the clip. Lastly, I'll change the launch mode from trigger to gate. Let's have a listen to this in action. So first I'll play a long sustained note followed by some shorter, snappier note events. Great, so the length of the note is no longer fixed, but the pitch is. So how do we add more variety to the pitch? Well, one way in which we can do that is through the use of the random effect, the random MIDI effect. So you can access this by selecting MIDI effects on the left hand side and then double clicking on random. So what random does is it will transpose incoming notes. So in our case, it's the incoming note is middle C, and it will transpose this by a number of semitones. Now, with this effect, you need to configure the probability of this transposition happening. So at the moment, it's at 0%. So when I trigger my note, it's just going to stay at middle C. There's no transposition will take place at all. Let's increase this to 80%, which gives us an 80% probability of the note being transposed. We're starting to get quite a chromatic sound, which is great. We're adding variety. Just to explain a little bit further how the randomizer works, I'm going to decrease choices down to 2. So choices really, this is the number of semitones by which the incoming note might be transposed by. So at the moment we've got it set to 2. So there's an 80% chance that the incoming notes, our middle C, will be transposed by 1 or 2 semitones. So we could end up with the original note. It could be a C sharp or it could be a D. Let's trigger the switch again. You can hear those 3 notes quite distinctly, but it's quite random at the moment. We can start to have a little bit more control over specific notes which are being played by introducing the scale effect. When you first load this up, you'll see a grid, which can be a little bit confusing to understand at first, but to help us to get a clearer idea of how it works, I'm going to switch off some of these blue switches. So the scaler, I suppose the interface for it is divided into columns and rows. So the columns represent incoming notes. So this is C, this is D sharp, sorry, this is C sharp, and then this is D. Now, what we can do is, let's just change the mode here to alternate, I believe that's called. So this is going to essentially wrap around, rather than choosing those 3 notes randomly, it's going to do them each in turn. To make this work, we just need to increase the chance to 100% and then just our number of choices to 3. So let's just activate our switch again, and you should see these light as the corresponding notes come in. Great, so C, C sharp, D. What we can do now is we can start to transpose each of these notes individually. So say we wanted to play the chord of C minor, we can take that C sharp, for example, and let's transpose it to E flat. We'll take our D and we'll transpose that to G. And now what you'll realise when I play the switch is that we'll have a cycling, I suppose, arpeggio on C minor. Great. So that's it for the moment. So that gives us some ideas of ways in which we can work with melodies. Tune in for the next video and we'll take a look at chord generation.